You know, for a long ass time, this spot right here has been very lonely.
In 2005, it's a blur because I was on like 3 different kinds of methamphetamine. So, but all I know is I wasn't happy. I didn't like being in the band. I didn't like most of the guys, and I didn't like myself more than anything. So, you know, being a drug addict, not liking your surroundings, and trying to raise a daughter all at the same time, it just doesn't really work. So,
he was in a situation where he told me that Janaea was at home with the babysitter, and his wife left to Hawaii and left his kid. So I was like, I'd do the same thing.
Something needed to give, something needed to change, and I didn't care what the cost was going to be. I needed to live. I needed to come back to life because I'm almost dead.
He quit with email. I remember that.
I thought it was a joke at first, honestly, because to me, and he kept everything hidden so much.
Something about God, and he was leaving.
God just opened my eyes to know that he was real. And so I was so excited for life. When I was doing speed, I was mixing Xanax and speed like every day. And so I was playing games with my heart, and I could have died. So just being totally free and alive was just, it overpowered any feelings of sadness by leaving my friends, you know.
It was like losing a family member. I know what it's like because I had both my parents. I've lost both my parents, and I consider Ryan a brother. I was devastated, you know.
If I had to go away and like just kind of like die away from everything I've known to get into this process and of cleansing my soul.
If I look back on it now, the root of the situation was just a decision he had to make to top off with all of the drama going on in his life.
I'm living my life. I'm taking my daughter to school. I'm making her breakfast. I'm making her dinner, doing homework with her, you know, doing school activities, and it was all new for me. That gave me a lot of joy and satisfaction because I was all my daughter had at that point, you know.
I never considered bringing someone in full time.
I just bailed out, left him with everything, and he really took it and did a great job with it, you know.
I really had an extreme amount of pressure. I think from myself, mostly. There was a lot of growth and a lot of struggle within myself to prove to myself that I could do this without bringing somebody else into it. I had to think differently.
I was happy with my new life, but then that thorn in your side, you know, you're just like,
keep holding on when my brain's ticking like a bomb. Guess the black dogs have come again to get me.
Coming Undone came out, and I was flipping through and I saw it and I was like, ow, my heart hurt. And because it was such a cool video, you know?
I had to think with both sides of my brain, and I have trouble just with one side. We brought in some new producers. We kind of tried to reinvent ourselves as a 4-piece band.
I attended Carolina Rebellion because my daughter wanted to go see Evanescence, she wanted to go see Stain, she wanted to see Korn, and I was like, all right, I'll sneak in there and just maybe go say hi to a couple of the guys. And I don't know if Monkey will want to see me, but I know if I was texting Philly once in a while.
He got up with the band Red on the side stage and played, and I just remember going, wow, I got to go over and see him.
The band Red, those are friends of mine too. They took me out on tour with my solo stuff, and so they were like, hey, why don't you jam a song with us?
He walked on stage and just kind of took over, and the crowd went nuts.
Have you ever heard of Brian Head Welch? It's every down and then you pick me up. You take it all and still it's not enough. You try to tell me you can heal me, but I'm still bleeding and you appear the death of mine.
It seemed to go over well, you know. It's the first like rock festival I played in years. Philly and all his entourage came over and watched.
Okay. That was fun. Here, man. Stop giving me sugar.
Just seeing Reggie and Brian standing together was like, wow, it gave me chills instantly. Like, this needs to happen.
The day before that, I had found out he was going to be there, and I kind of had a lump in my throat because I didn't know if we were going to talk. I didn't know if he was going to keep his distance.
Reggie was going towards Monk's bus, and he was literally like pushing him towards the bus.
I was kind of nervous a little bit, you know, just like been so long.
When the moment actually happened, it was a complete relief just to see the clarity in his eyes, and it just all made sense to me right at that moment when I saw him. Like, he looked so healthy and so present, and it all made sense why he had to do what he had to do to clean up his life. He found his faith. All of that just kind of came together right at the one moment I saw him.
That Jekyll and Hyde drunk dude wasn't there no more. I could see it in his face. He was back to that good-hearted, nice guy. When I read like about spirituality and stuff, and it's about like forgiveness and apologizing for the stuff you've done wrong, and so I was just doing that. You know, I was like, hey, I just want to look you in the face and tell you I'm sorry for hurting you or just bailing the way I did, and I haven't seen you face to face, so I just want to tell you that, you know, in person. I remember hanging out, and Jonathan's like, come on, Head, let's go do the meet and greet. And I was like, meet and greet? I'm not in the band no more.
I was so excited just to be walking with him over to the meet and greet. Man, if this could be a band again, you know, I just felt the possibility. I had this hope.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
We were doing pictures together. It planted the seed of hope and the possibility of him returning. That's all it takes, is the seed, the idea, and it needs to, you know, be nourished.
In back of my head, I was hoping that Head would get on stage with us and play that night. To me, it was so obvious he was right there.
And when we were walking to the stage, he walked with us. And it felt like that seed had kind of started to take root a little bit and to sprout.
I had goosebumps on that introduction.
Jim, the guitar tech, got the amp ready to go, and just in case something happened.
And then right before Korn went on later that night, Fieldy, I was walking with him, and he was like, hey man, I'm just saying, there's an amp and guitar set up for you. And I was like, what?
He's gonna come out on blind.
Yeah? Yeah.
Same thing.
I mess up, don't get mad.
Same thing. We're gonna do it exactly like we always do it. But right when you go, bum, 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 boom, I'm all. Get ready for some crazy shit, people.
You hear that? Brian Head Welsh getting up to play blind with us. Over 30,000 peeps in North Kakalaki.
I wanted to watch him because I used to be a fan of Korn, but I couldn't watch him because I was in Korn, you know? I always said Jonathan was like my favorite singer, and he's in my band. How cool is that?
I want to bring out one of my truest and oldest and most beloved old friends.
Head was standing right there. Head was on my side of the stage, and Head's like, he goes, what side should I walk out on? What side? I go, go all the way on Monkey's side and make a scene.
My boy!
This guy comes across the stage with a guitar over his head, making a triple scene.
You guys ready to get crazy? This is where it all began, people! Are you ready?
I'm like seeing like my extended family again, you know? All those thousands out there that were just cheering that they just loved what we did for them, you know? And I loved what they did for us, and there they were. So I felt emotional.
I had all kinds of emotions going through my head at that night. I was pissed, I was happy, it was everything.
Since I got in this band, that was always my thing, is to have the four original up front and me in the back. The energy and the surge that came over the whole entire band and crowd was just pretty insane.
I was just crying like everybody else. I just walked up to him and told him, thank you so much for doing this with us one more time. And there's no talk about coming back, none of that stuff. It was just like, thanks for doing this, bro. It felt really good.
So many great things were said about that performance, and everyone had the same kind of hope that we all had that day.
I think he was taken back by it too, by everybody, just the emotions and how much, you know, him being in the band meant to everybody.
I remember leaving there in the car. I remember tweeting something about world domination.
The next day, it was just like a shitstorm. Just everybody was talking about the head got up on stage with us. We did this, we did it, we did it, we did it. And I felt good. I just didn't know what the hell he was gonna think.
It was bigger than what I thought it would be, you know, as far as the reaction. And I was like, it really touched my soul, you know. I was like, something's going on here and I gotta figure out what it is.
I didn't hear one negative thing.
We had to go with separate paths and then end up together again. But I didn't know like what that meant.
After we did the show, we were kind of in contact, and I go, you know, why don't we just do a record and do a tour together, because it feels all right.
And when we were all talking about it, I said, we got to get him back, come on. And I go, I think it would be better, James, if you asked him. Coming from you, that you guys were left and right, you know.
We were catching up, and you know, and I told him, I said, I don't want this phone call to be about you coming back to the band. I told him just think about it, and I think a week went by, and he called me back, and he said he'd like to, you know, write some songs or get in the rehearsal studio.
Of course, I was beside myself.
It just kind of unfolded where we was like, let's do this, man. We've been friends our whole life.
God is a God of reconciliation, and I started to see that he was reconciling my friends and my family in my life. So I just stepped forward, and here I am.